SportsNola.com as we count down to Selection Sunday. Lenny Vangilder pleased to be joined by a special guest, the former Tulane coach, Perry Clark, back in town watching a little college basketball at the SEC tournament here in New Orleans. And Perry, first of all, it's great to have you back here. You've been through what's getting ready to happen with so many coaches this weekend. 68 teams' names are going to show up on that board Sunday night. 31 of them know they're in. Few others pretty much know they're in, even though they're going to be at-large picks. But there's that couple of dozen that may be in, may not be in. You've been in that situation. What are those coaches feeling this weekend?
I used to hate the word bubble this time of the year because whenever we would go, we were always on that proverbial bubble, and there's a lot of coaches with a lot of sleepless nights. And for some, going into the conference tournaments, it's a lot of anxiety, a lot of pressure. They feel like they need to win one game, and it's tough to do that and try to keep your guys ready. But I just think that right now, I can remember Selection Sundays were, always a very tense situation. I never wanted to watch it with other people because, if it didn't turn out right, I remember calling you after we would get in, and that was the greatest thing, and you would have the press and everything already, and that press conference going in was a great feeling. But it's a lot of anxiety, a lot of worry, and the conference tournaments are going to mean an awful lot, especially this year.
We'll see it all shake out come 5 o'clock Sunday night. We'll know the field of 68. And what is the first thing that you look at when you see that bracket? Is it your first round matchup? Is it the pot of 4? Is it where you're headed? What are the things that you're looking at once you're over the suddenness that your name has just popped up on the board?
Well, I've talked to a lot of coaches that already feel like they're in, and it was the same thing when I felt like we were in. Where you go. I remember my last year at Miami, we got sent to Albuquerque, and I was asked during the season, where do you want to go, where do you want to go? And I said, I don't care. And that was a bad mistake. And then we got sent to Albuquerque, and we had a 10 o'clock start time, and we had to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning, and we had no fan base, and it was just an awful experience. And we played an underachieving Missouri team during the regular season, and they were a 12 seed, we were a 5 seed, and they wound up going to the the Elite 8, I'm sorry. And so where you go is extremely important to coaches, and that's the first thing that they look at because of the travel, more so, and the time of the games, more so than anything else.
Who are the types of teams you like to avoid come NCAA tournament time? Obviously, in your league, you know the types of teams you play night in, night out. Now you're going to be playing a team that, in all likelihood, you haven't seen before. What are the types of teams you don't want to see?
Well, I'm much more sophisticated than when I was at Tulane. We were just happy to get in, and we would always win our first round, but I didn't understand that in the second round we either played a 1, a 2, or at worst a 3 seed, and so it was tough for us to advance. And I just think that what you want to do is try to obviously stay away from the 1 seed, the second game, and more important, style of play. I don't think people, for example, want to play Syracuse. I don't think, for example, people want to play a VCU. Syracuse with their zone, VCU with their pressure, wall to wall. It's hard, especially that first weekend, to have to turn around and play someone that has a style that you're not used to seeing over the course of your conference season. And I think that's the thing that gives coaches the most problems in the NCAA, especially that first weekend.
Is there one team that you're waiting to see where they show up that you would say, man, depending on this team's matchup, you haven't heard a lot about them this year, but maybe they've got a chance to make a deep run in this tournament?
Well, normally when you do that, you think of the Butlers and the mid-majors, and I do think that VCU is one of those teams that I think again can make a very deep run. I saw their semifinal game of their conference tournament against George Mason, who I think is a very good team, and they were up 30-2. So the way they play is so unique that I think that would create a lot of problems. And everybody knows how good Syracuse is in the media, in the coaching profession. but I don't think average fans, for example, in Louisiana or in California or in Texas, really know how good Syracuse can be. And when they play that zone, I mean, it is a very difficult thing to do, because they're three guys, if they touched hands, could cover almost sideline to sideline, and that is an awful tough thing to shoot over top of. And they always have those New York guards that pick your pocket if you're careless out front. They're just a very difficult team, and they're deeper than most of Jim's teams have been. So I just think that Syracuse is one of those teams, although they're ranked high, is a very difficult team. And also the other one is Florida State, because they defend so well. And you know, they've already beaten Duke, they've already beaten North Carolina, and in fact they blew North Carolina out, and that doesn't happen very often. But their length is so surprising to you that I think a team first seeing them will be very much surprised.
Be a lot to consider come Selection Sunday, and then as you start trying to fill out your brackets for the Field of 68. Perry Clark, thanks so much for your time. Look forward to seeing you again come Final Four time. Stay with us here at sportsnola.com. We will have coverage all the way as the Final Four comes to New Orleans.